Hi, I'm Jeremy from the Lemonade maintainers team, and today I'm going to tell you about the Lemonade Embeddable SDK. So people know Lemonade as the service that they can install on their computer, and when they do this, any app or agent running on the computer can now access local inference capabilities for doing things like chat and image generation, code generation, and so on. What a lot of people don't know is that you can also take Lemonade as a portable binary and embed it into your own application so that when you ship your app, it's imbued with all of the inference capabilities that Lemonade has to offer, and they're kind of all bundled into your app and all ready to go. So we just came out with this new website that you can see here. And one of the main things we're highlighting on it is that this embedded SDK option is available. So if you come to the website and you click embed the SDK, it takes you into kind of this dark mode developer view. And the content changes to focus on what is this embedded SDK? What does it do for you? And how does it enable you to build AI applications really easily? So we have this quick start that comes up right away. There's links here to get to the SDK documentation, as well as our API reference. So the API is how your app would actually talk to the inference capabilities. And of course, GitHub, because all of this is completely open source and free for you to use. So some properties of this that are going to be really, really important. One is like it's completely open source, so you can just grab this and do whatever you want with it, put it in your app. And it's also fully private, so no telemetry at all is going to get sent back to the people who make Lemonade or to any company really. And it's designed for this privacy from the ground up, and like stuff like telemetry is not something we're planning to add. So your app gets to be totally in control of that. So we have some graphics here to help illustrate this, and then after that I'll show like a quick demo of how easy it is to get up and running. So LemonD is the actual executable binary that has all the Lemonade capabilities. And so what your app is going to do is bundle a copy of LemonD that you're going to package into your installer, and then your app can start the LemonD process when it starts up. And then that's going to give you chat and image gen and speech gen, transcription, all these different capabilities are going to be available. And this is also all cross-platform. So if you've ever tried to build an AI app before, one of the big challenges is making sure that it works on Windows, Linux, and Mac OS across a bunch of different distributions of Linux, across a bunch of different hardware targets. So the idea is that LemonD is going to detect the system it's running on, and it's going to pull optimized runtimes for you for whatever computer your app happens to be running on. And then as the developer, you don't have to worry about any of that. This embedded LemonD can also be completely private to your app. So you can secure it with an API key so that the API endpoints are something that only your app can communicate with, and other apps or users would be locked out. It can keep its own private collection of models and backend installations, or it can share them with the system. That's actually a choice that you get to make as the developer. So the next thing on here is the smart router. So one of the biggest features of Lemonade is that it combines all these different inference capabilities like I've been mentioning. And this allows your app to do something like a complete ChatGPT experience, where if a user asks, to generate an image, it'll generate an image. If they talk, it'll get transcribed. If they ask it to narrate something out loud, that happens too. So this capability becomes something that your app can do. Something that we're developing a lot right now is also this idea of cloud and server routing. So let's say you're trying to make like an enterprise application, or just something that knows that it may need more intelligence than what the user's PC can provide. We have this router where you can attach not only local inference engines, but you can also attach an on-prem server or frontier models running in the cloud. And then your app can route between these in order to use the right model at the right time. And all this is completely opt-in with no upsell. We're just enabling you to hook up these capabilities and route between them. What this is showing is that you get a lot of engine and hardware support with Lemonade. So like when we say that you can run LLMs, you can run them through Llama CPP or VLLM or FastFlow LM or Ryzen AI software. And all of these different engines have different pros and cons. And people who are developing applications, integrating all of this stuff is a lot of work. That's why Lemonade is a big project. And all this is just done for you. And then all these different LLM backends can target all of these different devices in the backend. And what you're seeing here is like a request from your code or from a user. It just wants to target some model, and we're going to route that to an engine for you and then route that to a device and back, and your application doesn't have to worry about any of that. And then you can kind of pile on like all the other modalities as well. If you want to generate image or do transcriptions, like all of those are additional engines. And we're taking on all the complexity of orchestrating all these engines on your behalf. When it comes to actually integrating your app with Lemonade, you're going to use these HTTP endpoints that we provide. And there's a bunch of different classes of these endpoints. So what I'm showing here is the OpenAI compatible endpoints. So we support a whole bunch of these. I think there's 12 on the screen here. And these are industry standard. So if you have an app that already knows how to talk to cloud AIs or like specific local AI engines, it is probably communicating over some of these endpoints, and that makes it really easy to port to Lemonade. And because they're HTTP endpoints, this can talk to any programming language. So Lemonade itself is this native C++ binary that you can package into your app, but you can talk to it over a HTTP request from Python, JavaScript, C++, Rust, whatever. Like all of these, basically any programming language is supported here. Now, something you'll want to do is configure your server, and this is kind of a local AI specific problem. If you want to query like information about the system that your app is running on, you want to know what kind of hardware is available, you want to pull or delete or load or unload models. These are all configuration options that we provide through the set of HTTP endpoints that are shown here on the screen. Then to wrap things up, we also have support for the OLLAMA API. So if your app was already coded against those capabilities, you can bring it right over. We also support the Anthropic API messages, right? That's something that we use to do things like Cloud Code integrations and have that work. So that's kind of an overview of the capabilities of the embedded SDK. One more thing I want to mention here is that this is all built in the open. So, if you're developing an app and you want to take a dependence of this, you can come find us, the development team. We're all hanging out on Discord, talking each and every day. And if you have like features that you need to get into Lemonade to make your app work, we've always been very welcoming to that kind of thing. And the roadmap is kind of always up for discussion. So I hope to see people on there. Okay, so now that we've kind of covered the overview, we could go and look at the actual SDK documentation, and that's what can lead us into a demo here. So every Lemonade release has a set of embeddable artifacts that come with it. So for example, for Windows, right, there's one, Ubuntu, there's another one. I'm on an Ubuntu system right now, so this is the one that we'll use. But you get these across platforms. And when you get these and unzip them, there's going to be the Lemon-D binary that we've talked a bunch about in there. There's also going to be lemonade.exe. So this is a command line interface that's really useful for configuring things. And then you also get some configuration files. So server models is like what models like appear to be out of box when using Lemonade. You can completely customize that. There's also the backend version, so that's like what version of Llama CPP or stable diffusion.cpp you'll end up using, and that's also completely customizable. So like if there's a version of Llama CPP you really like, you can pin that and have that be what your users end up using. So without further ado, I think we'll just show where to get these from. So every release of Lemonade has these files on them. And so we're on Ubuntu, so we can just grab the Lemonade embeddable for Ubuntu. And that's going to show up in my downloads folder. And so if we switch to looking at that, here it is, the download that I just did. Okay, so there's all those files that I just talked about. So now we can CD into there. All right, so now that we've CD'd into this folder, we can start our LemonD really easily by just starting that executable binary, and this is the same thing your app would do. We're going to tell it to use the current directory as its working directory, and so this is where your application binaries and that kind of stuff will get installed. And then we'll, put this on some custom port so that we know where to find it, and this is like kind of where your app would, run the port so that it just knows where to locate LemonD. So there we go, it started up. It's now providing these inference endpoints, and so then you come over here and once again on port 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we could say status, and so the Lemonade command line just has all these utilities for like checking up on your server and managing it and everything. And that can be pretty handy when first setting up your server within your app. So you can do things like viewing the configuration. So we just got this LemonD and set it up. So you can see we've got kind of all default configuration aside from our port being set. And if we wanted to do something like dictate, what Llama CPP ought to be used, we could do something like Lemonade config set llama cpp dot backend equals rock'em, and then now when people are using your app, they're always going to get llama cpp rock'em, if that's a choice that you wanted to make. And so that's kind of how configuration works. Like another cool one is how many models Lemonade will load of each type at a given time. So like, do you want to enable people to load 5 LLMs at once? The default is 1, but if you wanted to customize that, you go config set max loaded models equals 5. And of course I spelled that wrong. It's max loaded models equals 5, and there you go. So what you can see is that this config.json file is generated as we were customizing our LemonD instance, and now that'll be like consistent configuration that you could ship in your application. And just to like kind of totally show everything working, we could open up a chat session with this, and we could pick like a nice small model. And so this is our LemonD instance on the left, and it's getting itself all set up to run this model. So we needed a copy of llama CPP, and we needed a copy of rock'em because we just told the system to always use rock'em in our configuration. And so all that's going to get downloaded, and those downloads are just going to live in your working directory like we were talking about. So in that binary folder, you can see there llama CPP and the rock are both getting set up. And again, like this is the working directory of the LemonD. So if that's in your application, then that means that these backends are private to your application, and nobody else is going to be able to, see them or use them for anything else. So now we've got our backends installed. We're loading up a model, and right, like this Lemonade CLI, it's just calling our API endpoints, the ones that I told you about. And so anything that this thing can do, your app can also do very, very easily. So this is just kind of a reference of what's possible. And so there you have it. It's that easy to just download a copy of Lemon-D, start it, and start communicating with the model. So I hope this was an interesting overview of how Lemonade works for you as an embeddable SDK. And I hope you'll consider it building into your own applications. Please come by the Discord and chat with us if that's something you want to do, and we can help out in any way. All right, thanks for watching.